Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It is me, BST, and today we're hopping in with another mock draft. It is the third of the mock draft season. The Super Bowl uh, just commenced a few nights ago, and the draft order is officially set. Uh, Honestly, very, very exciting to finally get to say that. Obviously, Patriots. Come on, dude. Come on, guys. What were we thinking? They lost to the Seahawks. You can see here the draft order. My name's in the way. But Seahawks have 32. 31 goes to the Patriots. We'll talk about that later in the draft. Some of you guys might be seeing this and thinking, well, didn't he already post this? I did. The audio was excruciatingly bad, and I was not about to make anyone listen to 45 minutes of me talking in that horrendous voice. So, it just allows us to be better and make a better mock draft and a better video. Other one was like 40 something minutes long, so I'm going to try to make this a little bit shorter and a little bit more in depth in a way. But you'll understand what I'm saying as we get going here in a minute. I'm just setting everything up for success. That's what I like to say. So yeah. Raiders at 1. This is probably the most obvious pick in the draft. It's going to be Mendoza. Clint Kubiak officially accepted his head coaching job the other day. Literally, touchdown in Las Vegas, not even 24 hours after the Super Bowl. Pretty much what happened with Kellen Moore, Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, all those dudes. We got tampered with pretty much. Not tampered with, but it's a business. It's a weird business how you can just go from coaching in the Super Bowl to then being in the facility the next day at your new head coaching job. I don't like it. I think it's really stupid, and it is what it is. But Mendoza is going to be the clear cut number one overall pick right here. Obviously, I mean, clear number one overall pick by far, won the Heisman this year. Nothing really better else to say about him. It's going to be interesting to see how Kubiak can hit the ground running. With such a young core offensively wise, you have Mendoza, you have Genti. You get a receiver in the second round, specifically, I don't know, maybe like a guy like Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt. The chemistry is already there, and those guys are on the rise. Two very good young receivers that they can try to get in the second round. They trade away Jacoby Myers. They have Jack Betch. Just a really a sad receiving core aside, and then you have Brock Bowers at tight end. But I think the future is bright in Vegas, and I don't think there's really much else to say about that. As we move forward on to the second pick in the draft with the Jets, this is where I feel the draft really starts. It really starts to take shape here at number 2. And like we've been talking about, there are so many ways the Jets could go with this. It's very intriguing to me the way this draft could go and the way that these players are coming out. Ruben Bain, obviously, number 2 ranked player in the draft, according to PFF. 12 sacks, 68 hurries. We've been over his stats before. A very, very good, well-rounded player. Aside from the short wingspan in his hands, against very good NFL tackles, against good O-linemen, that kind of scares me a little bit, considering he lines up on the outside tackle. There's very good offensive tackles in the NFL, and not being able to get your hands and get around these guys could be an issue. Might not have been an issue in college, but it does concern me a little bit. I don't think it's enough to really overreact and be like, all right, this dude, he's just not going to be he doesn't deserve to go where he deserves to go. I think the Jets very well could take this type of route, but Orville Reese has been the consensus number 2 overall pick. Just so versatile, so explosive, can really play anywhere you really want him to play. Similar to the off-ball skills of Micah Parsons in a way from the film you watch. I really, really do enjoy watching him play, and I like this pick a lot for them, considering they traded away their 2 best defensive players in Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. The defense doesn't really have that pop anymore. They didn't have a single interception the entire year, which the first time that's happened in decades. So, like I said, I think you need some explosiveness. You need some young excitement for this team. Orville Reese, I feel like, is the pick. If they don't go Orville Reese, I don't mind a Caleb Downs route either. I do think Caleb Downs is probably the best defensive player in this draft, but nobody really takes safeties that high. But I think the Jets do have so many places they could go. I don't think offense is really the move here early on. I don't think any of these receivers are number 2 pick overall worthy. And then we've been talking about it. Dante Moore just pretty much screwed him over. Ty Simpson is not in play here at 2. It makes the most sense. It truly does. At 3, Interesting pick here for the Cardinals. Don't really know who their quarterback's going to be. Mike LaFleur officially accepted that head coaching job about last week. So he has to hit the ground running now, scouting wise. And I've seen many different things, specifically offensive tackle. Maui Noah is a very good player in my eyes. Do I think he's going to go 3? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure where they're going to go. Offensive tackle is always the safe bet. Jeremiah Love is also in play. He could have even been in play for the Jets at 2, considering Breece Hall is gone. It's an interesting sort of perspective, but I don't really make sense of it. I know Jeremiah Love is a very good player. He was a Heisman candidate, Heisman finalist. But I just don't know if teams are really willing to take that risk just yet. Especially with the Cardinals who drafted Trey Benson. They were pretty high on Trey Benson this past year. James Conner obviously getting hurt. Both those guys are going to have to bounce back from injury to really have a prominent role in the future of this Cardinals team under Mike LaFleur. But I just don't really know specifically. I feel like defense, you could always use some explosive guy no matter what. Is this a best player available type of situation? Are you drafting for needs? Tackles are very intriguing to me. Same thing with wide receivers, because you look at the top 10, it seems like almost every team needs a tackle or a wide receiver. So it's kind of a really hard trade back spot, because realistically, what team are you going to trade back with? Now, I was looking at a mock where I had the Cardinals trading back with Carolina. Carolina would love a guy like Ruben Bain or a guy like David Bailey. Now, that is a very big jump. It's going to take a lot for Carolina to even pull that off. But then you're looking at the 19 range, like you're in the Caleb Lomu, Caden Proctor, if you're lucky, Spencer Fano, if he falls type of range, which I don't really know if it's much of a downgrade. Maui Noah is the clear-cut best tackle in this draft. He's very big. He deserves to have a prominent role on an offensive line in the NFL. It makes sense for me here. I'm liking that pick a lot. For Robert Saleh getting his second head coaching tenure in Tennessee. Again, a very interesting pick. We've had multiple different scenarios. I've had Ruben Bain and David Bailey, respectively, going at this pick in our first 2 mock drafts. And I'm going to stick with the idea of one of these 2 guys. Carnell Tate, is intriguing to me a little bit, just considering the fact that they need weapons. Cam Moore doesn't have weapons, but I also don't dislike you have an early second-round pick. Considering a guy like Omar Cooper might be on the board, Jeremy Bernard, Surratt, Chris Bell, these aren't bad options you can make be very, very impactful on day one in Nashville, Tennessee, if that's what they wanted to do. I just don't know if I like Carnell Tate at 4 here. I haven't seen many iterations of that either. So I'm going to go with my gut, and that is taking David Bailey. I think he's better than Ruben Bain. Very, very a slimmer edge rusher, 256.3, so explosive. Everything and anything that Robert Saleh could ever ask for, and he has the flexibility to kind of play all over the place. You see where he lines up, mainly on the outside tackle. But you could see some formations that Robert Saleh could implement, maybe some different schemes that would allow David Bailey to have more of that, Swiss Army knife type attribute where he can really play anywhere on the field. Someone with this good a talent, I'm not really worried about where. We're going to find a place for him. That's going to be Robert Saleh's ideology. In my eyes, is that you want to find a place for him regardless of who he is. And you have two very good edge rushers on the board. I feel like it's hard for them to go wrong. I personally just think David Bailey's a better player, more of a scheme fit, considering Ruben Bain is a little bit more of what Jeffrey Simmons already is. So I kind of like David Bailey being a little bit of a different prototype, talking considerably just specifically about being an edge rusher. So I do like that a little bit more, considering you already have a very prominent all-pro edge rusher in Jeffrey Simmons. So you have 2 different types. 5 is where the draft really gets interesting, because the Giants, I honestly do not know where they're going to go. It's a team that has so much talent, so much young talent on paper. It just really needs to click, right? This is a team that's just kind of figuring out how to play with each other. Jackson Dart got the start pretty much for a good chunk of the season. Probably about 2/3 of the season was Dart. He has the experience now to come hit the ground running next season with his young guys, assuming they can bring back Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, obviously coming back healthy. That is a very strong young receiving core. Not to mention Cam Scatterbo had his very good moments when he was healthy. And then on the defense side of the ball, it's not like you don't have any good guys that can lead this defense. Brian Burns, top 5 in sacks the past 2 years, for the most part. I mean, maybe not exactly, but he's been up there. And Dexter Lawrence is an all-pro interior defensive lineman. So it's not like they don't have their pieces. It's about where are you going to be able to get an immediate upgrade? And immediately, Caleb Downs is an immediate upgrade in my eyes. Mansour Lane's an interesting immediate upgrade just because of the flexibility he has, whether you want to line him up in the corner or the slot is up for debate, or even in the box, depending on the formation that they want to run. I do think that Caleb Downs is the pick here, just an immediate upgrade, like we talked about, and just such a very muscular and like we said, talking about flexibility, such a good defensive back, the best defense prospect in the draft in my eyes. I just think it makes the most sense. I also don't think that Sonny Styles, who could be another good option if you want to go linebacker here, but they have Micah McFadden, they have Brian Burns. I don't think that's really in play for them necessarily. It could be, though. It really could be. But you have such a versatile player in Caleb Downs that you could just really put wherever you want, add some creativeness to this team. It makes sense. 6, Todd Monken got the head coaching job in Cleveland, and that honestly was a huge shock to me. I thought they were for sure going to give it the internal hire to Jim Schwartz. I thought that's what it was going to be. He knows how to coach the defense, which was very strong. Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, pretty much. I think that was a dumb hire. I don't really think he's proven at all to be a head coach, but that's besides the point. You have a very good draft pick here at 6, and you have a very important decision to make. What are you prioritizing here? Who's going to be your quarterback going forward? Probably Shedeur Sanders for one more year. Spencer Fano immediately calls my name, being probably the best, one of the best, like I said, probably behind Maui Noah, the best tackle in this draft. Just an immediate guy that you can just have a huge impact, like we talked about. Browns have a very old offensive line. Zeitler, Bitonio, Teller, like those are all just very older players. They're in need of some young guys. Interior offensive line is not awful. Like, I know Caden Proctor has that flexibility, but he's not worthy of pick number 6. And then there's the wide receiver development. Like, where do you want to go at wide receiver? You don't have a ton of weapons. They don't have a ton of weapons at all. And that's definitely an immediate upgrade place as well. But I think the lowest risk, high reward scenario here is taking Spencer Fano off the board, who is a very proven tackle, and is just going to be able to provide some good protection, allow Shedeur Sanders to read his progressions, make the throws he needs to make in order to have a successful, more of a successful outing, limit those interceptions, the decision making. It all starts with the offensive line, and it doesn't help when you have banged up players that are just getting blown by every single game. It truly doesn't. And at 7 is a really another interesting pick here for me. When I look at the Commanders, I look at what they were a few years ago, just considering we know what they can become and we know what they can be. We've seen it. They were just in the NFC Championship less than two full years ago. And unfortunately, it was just a rough year for them. It truly was. But I don't think a few draft picks and a few free agent signings and getting players healthy can't get them back to where they were. But the question is where, right? It's all about where. Ruben Bain's really intriguing here just because he fell so far. Do the Commanders take a chance here at edge rusher, get a very disruptive force that's going to be able to have a pretty big impact, if at least he can? Or do we go Sonny Styles, who is probably one of the best linebacking prospects I've ever seen, true linebacking prospects who, he missed 2 tackles all year. And that was both those occurred, I believe, in that Big Ten championship game against Indiana. This team it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't. I'm going to go here with a very interesting pick. I'm going to go Sonny Styles over Ruben Bain. At the end of the day, what are you going to want? I know that they blew up their defensive line a few years back. They traded Jonathan Allen away, which I didn't really like that pick. I didn't really like that decision at all. And it kind of had a little bit of a ripple effect, but we've seen what this team can do. Yes, you do have Frankie Luvu. You had Bobby Wagner. You've had some okay linebacking cores, but you want to get the young guy to get some time to implement into this team. Let those dudes mentor him. Sonny Styles is just such a very good prospect. There's nothing else you can really say about it. Just one of the best off-ball linebacking prospects we've ever seen. It truly is. Truly one of the best off-ball linebacking we've ever seen. And at 8 here, I've had Jeremiah Love going here for some time, and I do like this Jeremiah Love pick a lot. And honestly, part of the reason I like it is because it's a big snipe for the Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs getting very good playmakers, which Jeremiah Love is. Unfortunately, I can't be biased here. What do I think is going to happen? What is the Saints' perspective on Alvin Kamara for the future? Do they think that Alvin Kamara has, say, 2 more good years in him? Is that what they think? I don't know. Not to mention you also have Devin Neal, who is progressing a little by little, and Kendre Miller for some more younger running back depth. Although I don't know if those guys are really ever going to be starter-worthy players. So it really raises the question: is it Jeremiah Love, or is it going to be a receiver like Carnell Tate or Makai Lemon? I don't know. And this is where I really struggle to really come up with a pick here. But I'm going to go Carnell Tate. I just think you want to get Shook as many weapons as possible. And it could go either way. It really could go either way, but then that sets up Jeremiah Love. So you have your 8, 9, and Ruben Bain has fallen out of the top 10, or will he fall out of the top 10, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. It's really interesting. It really is interesting because it feels almost criminally wrong to see a guy like Bain drop this far into the draft. Will anyone let Bain drop this far? I don't know. You're going to get some trade. Bengals are going to get their phones ringing. Chiefs are going to get their phone ringing. I don't know. But I am liking this a lot more and more. The more and more I look at it, I like it, truthfully. That's how I feel about this. I do love Jeremiah Love going here. Carnell Tate's a very good prospect, but I just don't know if any other team's going to take him before this Saints pick. And the Saints could go either way. Bottom line, you want to get as many offensive weapons as possible, and then this sets up the Chiefs perfectly to have. They're finally like back to the Jamal Charles days when you have that explosive run game being activated again. For the past couple of years, they've kind of just plug and played a few guys to make it work, and it just really hasn't been a dominant force of this team at all. So finally, the Chiefs are going to have some life at the end of the tunnel, and essentially, and Jeremiah Love is going to work out perfectly. Perfectly. And then at 10 here, it almost feels like you can't pass up on a guy like Ruben Bain, and I totally understand it. I don't see a world where he falls out of the top 10, so I'm going to have the Bengals taking Ruben Bain, and this is a phenomenal pick. Assuming Trey Hendrickson doesn't come back, you're going to need that replacement. Hendrickson has wanted out of Cincinnati for the longest time, and he is a free agent. Defensive line, wherever you can upgrade it, I think perfectly makes sense for them. And you're probably thinking, like, no way Bain falls out of the top 10, or at least at 10. I mean, it's not the craziest thing that happens when you have one factor that can limit your play style. It is very well possible. It truly is. And that's just the unfortunate truth. Truth of it. It truly is. But I think this is an immediate upgrade for the Bengals that don't ever really draft defense too highly. They don't really care too much about their offensive line either. I mean, truthfully, it's like you have the playmakers, but you don't have the glue guys around it. It's just kind of unfortunate for them. But at 11 here, this is where it gets a little more interesting too. Jeff Hafley, first-year head coach. Tua's probably not going to be your guy. They've been saying Malik Willis, maybe yours. I don't really know. Wide receivers in play for sure here, but I like a cornerback role a little bit more, just a little bit more than others. Jermon McCoy was a little bit more intriguing to me last year in 2024 than what Delane has done this year, but Jermon McCoy not playing a full year of football might impact him a little bit. I'm liking the Delane pick here just a little bit more. Just a very sticky cornerback, very good in coverage, just immediately jumps on whatever gets thrown his way. It doesn't allow too many big plays either. So I'm liking this pick a lot. You can see the coverage snaps versus the full defensive snaps, and he only allowed – it's not like he's allowing too many things. You see the passer rating against him this year was only 31.3. He's a good corner. 12, Christian Parker, the new defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, has a huge job to do and has a role in this draft for sure, because I think you have 12 and 20. You're hitting the ground running defensively, and it sucks to see Delane get sniped there because that's a good pick for them. But I think Jermon McCoy, look, Parker's going to like his guys. He might have preferences. Like, he might think Avion Terrell or Cisse. He's a defensive backs coach. He was with the Eagles. You saw what he did with Quignon. You saw what he did with Cooper DeJean. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this is what they do and they go corner, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go Jermon McCoy. You see a guy, you see a project waiting to happen. Scott Neimer, Jerry Jones are going to say, all right, look, man, we trust you. We're going to have you develop this guy. If it takes time, it takes time, but you came here for a reason, and that's exactly, I think, the route they do. That's the route they go. They didn't sign, he like the sophomore tape he had was phenomenal. The ACL tear it's going to hurt him, right? But I have no doubt that with the right scheme and with the right fit, he is going to want to hit the ground hard running and make this scenario, make this situation work out. Especially when he knows the development traits that he's had, and not to mention or the pipeline that he's now attaching to. Not to mention Trevon Diggs got cut. DaRon Bland was nowhere to be found pretty much the entire year. So you need cornerback help. It's all about the defense. Both picks are going to be about the defense, but I like that. I do. 13, another interesting pick, right? Another interesting pick. I think when you have Makai Lemon and Jordan Tyson on the board here, Sean McVay says, look, Davante Adams is already very old. What is he, 32, 33 by now? He's missing some games. This dude can pop right into the slot for the most part and just have a very, very immediate impact. And that's what Makai Lemon does for me. He's that jump ball, that aggressive receiver that you're going to want. Look, he's a little bit more on the smaller side receiving wise, but he's going to make it work. He's a very, very prominent guy. He's going to have Matt Stafford throwing the ball to him in year one. His development is going to be off the charts in my eyes immediately. And I just love that they're going to take another receiver. You saw what he did for USC. Just reliable when the ball's in his hands. He's going to make something work, and that's what I'm really loving for this Rams pick. Sean McVay is going to find another stud once again. 14, I'm going to go Vega Ione here. I just think Vega Ione's going to go off the board way further than the ADP is 22.3. I think he goes top 15, no doubt about it. The best interior offensive lineman in the draft. The pass protection is just so phenomenal. 4 hurries and 614 offensive snaps, 0 hits or 0 sacks. I mean, he's only allowed 4 hits in his entire career through 2,000 plus snaps. So the numbers speak to me. The protection speaks to me. I mean, there's not much else I really need to justify. 1,800 college snaps, right? Like 2,000 college snaps, not allowing those numbers against very prominent Big Ten edge rushers all day. I take that all day. And then I think that also sets up Pregnon to go way, way higher as well. I truly think it does. 15, you could even see Pregnon fall off the board here. It wouldn't surprise me at all. He's a proven guy just as much as he's just as proven as Vega Ione is. Just not as highly ranked just because Penn State had a bad year. You had to nitpick some of the better things that they had, and now it's Vega Ione. Oregon, a very good team. Pregnon's a good prospect just as well. Bazantis could even be a first rounder. I know it's crazy, but the numbers there. The numbers are all there. The film's there. Very good run against the pass rush. It's good. And 15, we move on to the Buccaneers now. Interesting pick. I do think edge rushers in play. I think Keldrick Faulk's too good of a guy to pass up on. You need some young excitement for this defense. They don't have a true number one pass rusher. I think Faulk's easy to develop. The stats are there, 9 sacks in 2024. Also, I mean, he's a bit of a younger guy. Only a junior, true junior. So, 3 full years of true college football. I like the pick a lot. I think it's an easy developmental piece. Linebacker could also be in play, although it just doesn't make sense unless you're trading up for Sonny Styles. Obviously, you have Levante David, who's older. I don't know. I don't really know. It's an interesting pick, and I'm excited to see what they do. 16, it's going to be Jordan Tyson. They're going to get whoever that quarterback's going to be. It's going to be some They're going to get some weapons, no matter what. Jordan Tyson, let's not forget who he was before the injury. I mean, 1,000-yard receiver. We saw what he did in the playoff, having Arizona State. He was a prime root of that magical run. And I just love what I see from Tyson a lot. And the film studies I've seen from him, just an elite route runner, elite ball catcher as well. I mean, you look at him, 6'2", 200 pounds. He's like the perfect receiver build. Would be nice if he could get on a little bit of a slimmer side, but I mean, I think you align him with Garrett Wilson. It's a good young receiving core, and it truthfully just makes sense for a team that needs to kind of retool. Adonai Mitchell had some flashes, but I don't think you still can't line him up in the slot with Tyson as well. Next up at 17, Dan Skipper retired for the Lions. They might need some tackle help. Is Caden Proctor a pick here? I personally do like that a lot. I think biggest player in the draft, literally 6'7", 370 pounds. You get him into shape. I don't see why he can't be dominant. I don't see why he can't be a very good offensive tackle in the league. I understand the film isn't perfect. It's not great. It won't be great. But I just think that it's such a Dan Campbell type of pick. He is a big guy. He can develop. He likes those types of picks a lot. The Lions had a very good good offensive line coach over there. And I think that this is the developmental piece that they can work with. I also don't dislike Cassius Howell here. I also just don't dislike TJ Parker. Maybe you look at edge rusher. Maybe you look at maybe a corner, Avion Terrell. I don't know. 18, it feels like the Vikings have had that interior offensive line struggle for a long time. Connor Lew, Slaughter could be some easy centers that immediately are plug and play. I don't know. Maybe they target that in free agency, but I like Avion Terrell. I think he fits the Brian Flores scheme a little bit too well almost. You see the alignment, very flexible, very, very good in pass coverage as well. There's not much else you have to say. I think Colton Hood could also be in play here. Necessarily. We've seen undersized corners be able to work together. 5'11", 180. Not the biggest guy, but you're going to see similar size wide receiver. Cisse is an option too, 6', 190. Similar build. Abney, we've even seen him get drafted pretty high. They're all similar in their size, in their sizing. I don't dislike the Colton Hood pick either. I just think it might be a little early. But I think a corner is definitely at play. I think Avion Terrell being the best one on paper on board, you have to take him. 19 for Panthers. Another interesting pick. Panthers had a good year, just couldn't really get the job done. I think Peter Woods comes off the board here. Not the biggest valuable position-wise for the Panthers, but it's a very good, powerful front if you bring in Peter Woods. They drafted Scourton last offseason. And then you still have Derek Brown, who's a top 10 defensive lineman in the NFL in my eyes. I also don't dislike a linebacking play. Considering you lost Brian Burns, you maybe need some interior help. Shaq Thompson was there, but he's gone now. I don't know. I don't dislike CJ Allen. Anthony Hill, I think in the right system could also thrive, but he hasn't really worked out. So I don't dislike that, but I do think Peter Woods is probably the pick here for them, considering he's a very highly ranked prospect and highly regarded. And Clemson just had a rough year. 20. I'm going to go with Cassius Howell here. I really do, in fact, like a pick like this here, or TJ Parker. But like I said, you want to rebuild this team as much as possible. I have no doubt that Christian Parker can't find the pieces to do so. I think it's going to be a very collaborative effort. I like Cassius Howell a lot. The tape looks very, very good. 26 sacks over 3 years in college football is going to cut it a lot for you. And he's just a very good outside tackle. And he's also a bit he's slimmer to the point where he has the flexibility piece as well, which is something you want to see. Ever since Micah Parsons left, they've just had that hangover in that position. So I think just flooding it with as much as young talent and promising talent like Howell you can is going to do it. Parker is not bad either. TJ Parker was very highly ranked, very, very highly ranked. Clemson just had a down year, right? And we're just developing in the stages of the draft process. 21, Ty Simpson's definitely in play here for the Steelers. I don't dislike a wide receiver either, or even like a tackle. I don't know. It's another interesting pick personally. I'm just looking at my notes to the left-hand side. I don't dislike Ty Simpson. I don't dislike it at all. Considering 15 games he's only played, there's a chance we draft Ty Simpson now, which I'm going to do. We draft Ty Simpson now. I've seen Ty Simpson fall out of the first round. I don't think it's happening. And I think Simpson going here also provides the ripple effect for maybe Nussmeier to get set up in the second round. Chambliss obviously might go back to college. Beck could even go high. My theory here is I don't want to do that. My theory here is that Simpson's only played 15 games started 15 games. He's gotten into a few in his career. He has some experience, but he doesn't have enough. So the Steelers next year feel like a lost cause to me. The defense is good, but I just don't really know with the quarterback situation. You need some wide receiver help. You need some offensive line help. It seems like a lost cause season to even begin with. They sneak in seemingly every year, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think whoever that quarterback's going to be, assuming it's a veteran quarterback to start the year, you maybe let Simpson do the Jackson Dart thing. Let him play for the last half of the season. Let him get his experience he needs to play good defenses, try to read things. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you tried. At least you gave him some development process and the development process. We give him some type of experience, an experimental aspect. And you're probably saying at 21, you can't have an experiment piece, but we can. I mean, the Steelers haven't really hit on any quarterbacks since Ben Roethlisberger, since they drafted. Kenny Pickett didn't work out. So I think it's not like if you're Art Rooney and you're going to meet with McCarthy and you're going to say, all right, well, like I've seen what you've done with good quarterbacks. I want this to just give it a whirl. I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think it is. 22, I'm going Pregnon here. I like that pick a lot. It adds some more depth to a very good line that was injured, but when they're healthy, probably top 5 in the NFL. Sadiq to the Eagles. A lot of thoughts on this that I'm going to talk about probably in a separate video. And you're probably thinking, well, we need tackles, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, until I see a guy like Lane Johnson officially retire, I'm not going to draft. I'm going to draft what I think is the biggest need. And I think tight end, you have an athletic freak, some extreme physicality in Kenyon Sadiq that can immediately have an impact in day one. I have no doubt about it. In day one, maybe all 3 free agents that were on the active roster every single week, they're all free. All tight ends are all free agents. Dallas Goedert's time feels like it's over with just such a new staff coming in, new tight end coach coming in. It just doesn't seem that any of those guys are going to get brought back. For a start in Sadiq, I also don't mind a later round tight end like Trigg is a very good tight end. His film's phenomenal. Stowers is decent. Claire is decent. All 3 of those guys I wouldn't necessarily mind, but I think Sadiq, just the value you get here is just too good to pass up on. You maybe get in a better blocking, run some 2 tight end sets. Manny and I'm sure and Sirianni are going to have a lot of collaborative work this offseason, but I love the Sadiq pick here, just a little bit more than I think tackle-wise. And that's not to say we don't need. That's not to say we don't need other things. But I just like that a little bit more, and I also wouldn't mind maybe getting a corner like Cisse. I don't dislike that. I don't dislike that either. 24, you took Fano. Now let's get Shedeur some weapons. Which one's it going to be between Denzel Boston and Conception? Conception's a little bit more of your slimmer, deep ball, just route runner, wide receiver. Boston's more that physicality, Drake London type guy. And I think Shedeur is going to want a guy like Conception, kind of more of a Travis Hunter style of play, something he's more used to. And you have a bigger guy in Judy already there. Harold Fannon's also worked out phenomenally for them. So it's not like you don't have some better ball catchers on the bigger side. Conception's the type of guy you're going to want, runs great routes. And I think it's just a good weapon for this team that is just seemingly trying to find its offensive identity and try to rebuild, retool, etc. You get what I mean? 25, I'm going to go Banks. I like Caleb Banks. I think it allows for some kind of rebuilding of that Chicago front. I mean, the front had some decent showings in the playoffs, but it needs a big bolster, big guy in Caleb Banks, and I think that's exactly what he does. I just love this Banks pick a lot for me, and I think it works. I think it does. I also don't dislike a safety play. 26 for the Bills. I'm going to have Denzel Boston go off the board here. It's about time that someone like Boston goes. Josh Allen needs a physical jump ball receiver. It's kind of what Keon Coleman was supposed to be, but I think you can be a little bit more confident in Denzel Boston. You've seen Boston's film. You've seen Keon Coleman's film. They're just compare and contrast them and don't even it's just way different. And I think they're going to finally hit on a receiver like this, but no doubt Josh Allen has to go in there and fight for what he wants. He needs wide receivers, and it makes sense. It really does. 27, I'm going to go with Akeem Mesidor here. I think Mesidor, truthfully, I mean, I've said this to many people. I think he could be a top 10 talent in this draft, maybe even better than Ruben Bain ends up being. 827 defensive snaps, 13 sacks, 50 hurries. This dude makes these offensive tackles work just so explosive. One of the best snap to ball release players, I guess. I don't even know how you would define it. But bottom line, he just gets to the quarterbacks. He makes them make mistakes. The only thing is his age. But I think a team like San Francisco, that Nick Bosa's getting hurt, you can pretty much match them up equally. I don't think they're really taking as much of a risk. Like, it's not like they're in a scenario where it's like, all right, well, we're trying to get younger and we're drafting older. Like, Mesidor is just such a good pick to the point where I just feel like a team that had a pretty rough year with injuries defensively wise. Doesn't see why they wouldn't seize this opportunity. But I mean, wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk, he's gone. Pearsall was their wide receiver 1. Like, you need a wide receiver 2. So maybe if you draft a guy like Malachi Fields or something here, I wouldn't necessarily dislike that either. 28, Keenan McDonald, the best player left on the board. I don't know if he actually ends up falling this far. Very, very, very good player if you watch his film. So explosive when he gets off the snap here. And he floods the interior. He floods the box. I mean, like 6'3", 326, slimmer defensive tackle. I mean, he just adds firepower to an already a phenomenal defense. Will Anderson, Derek Stingley Jr., some very good players over there in Houston. 29 for the Rams. Kai Lemon went there. I'm going to go Cisse. I like that pick a lot for them. They find a way to develop these young corners. And Cisse has a lot of elusiveness, kind of like just there's a lot of ways he could go. Versatile piece for sure. I have no doubt about that. I think you could even see if like Terrell falls or something. That could also work, but I like Cisse. 30 to the Broncos here. Tight end out the window considering Sadiq is gone. Not going to reach on one of those. Running backs also out the window. CJ Allen's too good of a pick to pass on here. He'll get some experience like Alex Singleton's there. Christian Harris. It's a very, very good Jonathan Cooper. That's a very good defense. Nick Bonito. And a very good linebacking core that Allen's going to be able to just immediately get developed in and be immediate impact piece. 31's an interesting pick. But I'm actually going to go with what I believe is the best pick here for them. I do like edge rushers here a lot, and I'm going to go Gabe Yakas out of Illinois. First-round talent in my eyes. I mean, just phenomenal in the Big Ten. Put up decent numbers. 12 sacks this past year. Speaks out to me a lot considering Illinois is not a promising team. He makes them look promising. We've seen good defensive linemen. Jerzon Newton came out of there a few years ago. They have the development aspect. And a team that just won the Super Bowl. I also don't dislike offensive tackle. Lomu's a good option here for sure, considering, I mean, we saw what happened with Will Campbell. They got pancaked. Seahawks coming off the Super Bowl win. I am going to have them draft a very, very promising player in my eyes. I'm going to have them go corner here. Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. Phenomenal film. Very, very good in zone coverage. One of the best corners in the draft. Just not from the biggest school. Not a ton of animosity out of him. Hype around Tim. But there you have it. There is a little bit of a simplified mock draft number 3 for me. We've seen a lot of stuff change in the top 10. And it's only going to get crazier, truthfully. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll probably do some more. You can expect another one of these. Might skip next week just because I'm really busy. But I'm going to try to get an Eagles 3-round mock out, talk about them. Eagles offseason prediction. That might be one video. I don't really know. We're going to keep talking about the draft. I love talking about it. Drop your comments in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.